Good afternoon, wherever you might be dialing in from around the world. Thank you all for joining us for today's webinar, Top 10 Trends in Cybersecurity 2023, a Sea of Change for the Industry. My name is Michaela Bernier, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. We're going to spend the next hour or so walking through what we see as some of the top 10 trends driving the cybersecurity environment in 2023 and beyond. We have a great lineup of speakers who will be sharing some of the unique insights they've gleaned from deep research of marketplace dynamics across the past 6 months. As an IT Navarca Group client, if you have any questions for our speakers, please reach out and we'll be happy to take a deeper dive into any of the topics covered today. For those who are not yet subscribers to our Insights and Advisory service, please use this call to further your knowledge about the work we do and the topics we cover. If you're already working with one of our team members to evaluate services, feel free to contact them directly, or you can visit our website and click on the Become a Client link or send an email with your questions or requests for follow-up to sales@it-navarca.com. Now, before we begin, I'll just cover some quick housekeeping items. Today's webinar will be recorded, and a link to view the recording on demand will be available after the session. Please feel free to submit your questions using the questions feature located in the GoToWebinar toolbar to the right of your screen, and we will address them throughout the session. I'll now turn the mic over to Tari Schreider to introduce himself and jump into the content. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed today's webinar.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And for those of you that have ever seen The Truman Show with Jim Carrey, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm really happy to be able to spend some time with you and very excited to have my colleagues, my boss, John Horn, and John Keddy, is Tale of Two Johns here today, and talk about what we see as trends for 2023. So as the economy transitions from post-COVID to pre-recession conditions, will we have a recession? Will we not? But there's a lot of organizations, vendors, and financial institutions and insurance companies that are preparing for that. There's a sea of change that's washing over the cybersecurity industry. And we work with both sides of the coin. We work with the vendors that are marketing products and services to financial institutions and insurance companies. And then we also work with the insurance companies and financial institutions. So we see both sides of how the recession is starting to affect them. We interact with them on a regular basis, daily, and many of our trends are some of the sentiments that they've shared with us. So the approaches to securing digital assets this coming year are going to be evolving. We'll use our maritime theme, and I'll consider that a frothy cybersecurity sea in 2023. So chief information security officers and other risk leaders at financial service firms and insurance companies are going to experience something that they may not have experienced in the past. These changes will be good for some and not so good for others. Some insurance companies and financial firms, as well as the vendors that support them, have been forced to make some really tough choices, laying off personnel, maybe changing their product portfolio and roadmap. So in contrast, the good has come to organizations like the private equity community that's swooping in and picking up companies for value based on depressed valuations. So the business of protecting information and assets must continue. The cyber criminals are becoming more advanced. They hide behind deep fake personas and targeting gateway vectors for the attack surface that CISOs probably haven't had a chance to really deal with before. And so we're going to share with you some of the defenses they use, where we see that going in the future. So also, if you got any questions that come up, feel free to put them into the chat box. I promise you there isn't a deep fake bot in there that'll be answering. We will personally answer for you. And so with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the first one. So question number one, raise your hand if you were around during the Civil War and you experienced, oh, nobody? Okay, so for those of you that are fans of the Civil War, you might have been familiar or read about something called spirit photographers. It was a tragic time in our nation's history, and there were a lot of unscrupulous people that were taking advantage of that, and they were photographing loved ones, and they were superimposing what we would consider the original deep fake of what they said was the spirits of those that have passed. So deep fake's been around with us for a while.